Hello and welcome. Welcome to CPR's Clubhouse Live. My name is CPR Jose Ortiz, and this week's guest is Luis Marte. Luis, welcome to CPR's Clubhouse Live.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
What happened? I think hell froze over.
Tell me about it.
I can't believe you're here, but thank you for joining me.
Thanks for the invite.
It's great, man. It's celebration time. You're on a 3-song streak.
Really?
Yeah, we went back to 2018, 2019. You were in that compilation from Germany, and you had that song on the first volume, For All My Life. And I had to give you your credit. I went on social media, and I'm like, I listened to the entire compilation. I purchased it, and the best song, the only song that I can get into was For All My Life with Luis Marte. And I was like, wow, I spoke to you briefly about it, but I want to discuss it now as we get hot and heavy right into it. It was a situation where you got to control the narrative on how the song was released. You didn't allow somebody to touch your material and release it. So tell me a little bit about that. How did you get this partnership or permission? You gave permission for them to release your song For All My Life.
Yeah, I mean, it was originally written by Tanasi and his team. But when he presented the song to me, like with all my songs, it has to feel right. It just has to be me.
Right.
And so I did, I told him straight from the top. So listen, I'm going to do rewriting. I'm going to rearrange it, vocal arrange it. I want to mix it. I'm going to master it. It's you got to be good with that. And he was good with that. So it allowed me to really, like you said, kind of get involved. I did a lot of rewriting on it. I changed up the melodies. I did all the mixing to make sure it sounds exactly how Luis Marte record should sound like. And, the rest is history. So I was allowed to do that. So I think that's why it ended up the way it did.
Yeah. And to me, it was disappointing because you had a collection of great artists, and then you see not a good mix down, not a good song choice, just not good. And, that we had that one gem. So, congratulations to you on that. But what happened with that relationship? Did you need to move on from that, or just that a one-off?
Yeah, I think when that album dropped, I mean, there was still the whole stigma around the type of beat. I know there's a name for it.
The Planet Rock beat.
The Planet Rock beat. Yeah. Yes. So a lot of the songs that were coming out of that camp were primarily based off of that beat. And that's something, I just didn't, it wasn't my style. This song in particular did have a taste of that, but I was able to change some things. But I just didn't want, that wasn't my vibe, and I didn't want to just continue pumping out records under that label when I really didn't want to be associated with that sound in particular. So that's the reason why
we discussed this on the previous episode with Touch of Quality. We are 30 years in with freestyle using the Planet Rock beat. That's a lot of time. 30 years of people not being creative. And I think that, it's time to retire that. Of course, you can create your new Planet Rock beat or your new sound, but the African Bambata, the Soul Sonic Force beat, that's 1983 now, you got to let it go.
Yeah, I still get reached out to by producers today, especially from Brazil, with saying, hey, listen to my beats, can you write something? And, I just politely turn that away. It's just to me, it's not my, it's too old. It's been beaten like a horse, and it's time to move on. Yeah, be more creative.
So I took notice back then on that. I gave you credit on social media, but then last year, you came out with a song called "Apology I Owe You," and I had to say I had to take notice. We talk about how there are artists that I refuse to play some of the music before. But I always like it when they make me look bad and they put out a song that is undeniable and I have to play it. Well, Apology I Owe You is one of those songs. And to me, when I heard that song and then the remixes, I'm like, man, I have to play this song. It's a situation where I had no choice. And you forced my hand because it's that good. It's catchy. The female voice on that record is amazing. Can you please elaborate on who the female voice on that song was?
Yeah, her name is Lisi Noble. She's not really a freestyle artist. She's actually, one of the guys from my group, Strange Ways, his name is Paris. That's his wife.
Amazing.
So she did a great job. I drove up to North Carolina to record her voice just for that.
Right. So you were part of the 418 freestyle camp with that song. I believe Carlos Barrios, blessed the song, and then Gino as well, and then they put it out. How did it feel? Like there were a lot of people that were, being distributed by 418 freestyle, and then here's Luis Marte. He's part of that. A person that people didn't think would fit in that category of being distributed and blessed by Carlos and Gino. How did that come about? Did you shop the song to them?
Yeah, fair enough. That was my reality, right? So 418 to me was the juggernaut. They were the place where you wanted to be.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, as soon as there's a story how we came up with Apology Out of You, but once we had the product, I thought, and both Merk One and I thought it was good enough and different enough. That was the key thing for us. It wasn't like anything else that 418 was putting out or that anyone was putting out.
Right.
It was more, pop-ish, almost, something like Louder Than Love a little bit, that kind of vibe. So when we approached 418, I said, Gino, hey, I got something for you to listen to. Hope you consider it. Just let me know. I'm looking for, someone to represent the song for us. And he took a couple of days, as he usually does. And I got a call from an unknown number, and it was Carlos Barrios. Now, Carlos is a god to me. He is an icon. And
same here.
Absolutely. So to get a call from him, I didn't even know who the number was. I didn't actually pick it up. I thought it was someone who I owed money to. I ended up calling him back, and he was like, hey, yeah. So yeah, when I spoke to him, he was real cool about it. He was like, listen, Gino doesn't send anything to me that he doesn't think I'm gonna like. So obviously you got a foot up there. I love the record. And we want to do this. It's different. I'm really feeling the vibe. Can you let me mix it? And I was just excited, man. I was excited to be, I guess the biggest word for me was to be accepted. Right?
Validation is good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what meant the most for me, that I'm now moving to another level where my music is on a different platform and a different level. So I was excited.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about some of the struggles and you're working your way up. But I at that time I was digging my heels when it came to your music, even though I don't wear them. But I just I put my Timbs to the ground. And there's an unpublished episode of CPR's Clubhouse, the podcast where I'm having a conversation with Gino, and the conversation is going so well. But then he brings up Luis Marte, Apology I Owe You, and the CPR in me comes out like, nope. He was like, the song is fire. The song is the bomb. Is amazing. And we just get into this back and forth where I'm like, I can't put this episode out. But, when I listened to it and I purchased it, because I actually bought it, I'm listening to it. And I'm like, man, I got to play this. There's no way that I could not. And then the remixes came out. And then speaking of DJ Merk One and his 1987 mixes, when he made that 1987 mix, I'm like, that's it. I have to go ahead and I have to play this. I have to go ahead and I have to put it on my show and put it on rotation. And it's on my iPhone. It's a favorite of mine, and I'm proud of that. But where did you get Merk One from? Where he come from?
Well, Merk One was kind of I had Ricky Vasquez had at one point in time sent me some old Merk One instrumentals.
Right.
And we're talking about maybe 2 or 3 years ago. And, I've always asked Ricky, who's his producer, and he tells me, oh, this is Merk One, but he's not really in the game anymore. He's not producing. So both Ricky and I made it a pact that we are going to bring Merk One out from the dead. So It was constant phone calls, emails, just, trying to get him to hear us out. And so what ended up happening is, we started a relationship, we started, collaborating and talking, starting slow. And I sent him a piano riff that I had written, which is the melody that runs through the whole entire song of Apology Out of You. So
which is one of the best things that you did, by the way. That's like it hooks you if you're listening to with great headphones. That piano just takes you through the entire journey.
I appreciate that. So I sent that to him, and he went to a whole level. We didn't even talk about what kind of sound we wanted. We didn't talk about Louder Than Love or talk about any kind of sound. I just said, here's the piano, see what you come up with. And man, when he came back with pretty much what you heard in the original Apology I Owe You. I was floored. I fell in love. Again, it took me back to just the Louder Than Love feel. And then, once he did that, and then now, him and I, and you'll get this when you see all of our other productions. Him and I do a lot of collaboration. So we're both producers, right? So we both deal with music, and we change keys, and we do different elements in the songs, and we work really hard together. And at one point, I asked him to do a modulation at the end of the song, which is very similar to what Louder Than Love is at the end of their song. They modulate up. And modulations are very rare in freestyle. I can't remember too many songs that have done modulations. So that's one thing we wanted to do to up the game, up the ante, to make it different. And yeah, by the end of the day, when we finished that song, that was something really to be proud of. I was so excited about it. And then the remixes is a whole nother game. But
oh man, those remixes are amazing. And one of the things that that caught my ear again was a 1987 remix that he did of Apology I Owe You, and again, it just became my favorite remix of the year because
and no one else was doing that.
It was amazing, and I hope that he keeps that to himself, and only uses it sporadically from now on, because that type of sound, that type of mix is only for special people. It's like that is you know what I mean, for that song, because we want to be as we don't want to overdo it. It's like House Party Part 1 was excellent, but then you get to House Party 4 and you're like, all right, you know what I'm saying? So please don't make House Party 4 is what I'm saying. But congratulations to him, and of course, in exchange for what a song. Spend 22 weeks plus on CPR's Freestyle Countdown, and that's something that is commendable, and it has to do with Merk One and, of course, the talent of his wife. But there is a specific new sound coming from Miami out of your studio, and this is years of work that you've been putting in, because you've been buying. I've seen all the different equipment and different computers that you've purchased over the years. And this is a good solid 10 years that I can count of you trying to become a better producer. So now that you're well on your way to being the voice or the production company of Florida, how does it feel? I see that you're working with a lot of folks. How are you handling the pressure of keeping up with quality freestyle music?
Yeah, it's exciting, man. It's exciting because, for many years, like you alluded to, I've struggled in the genre, starting from the very beginning to where I'm at now, and haven't always had success, right? So I've been lucky to, one, I think my relationship with Merk One has elevated me and us to a place where we're happy and we're learning and we're getting better and better. So I give a lot of credit to that relationship. But also, I find a lot more joy now in working with other artists and writing for other artists and producing for other artists, mixing and mastering. There's a joy that comes out of that. And I grow with that. I grow vocally, I grow writing wise, teaching, mentoring, all those kind of things, so the more relationships I have in the studio and projects that I'm working on, the better I get. So,
I see a different Luis Marte than what I've seen. Like you're more relaxed, like you know where your position is, and now you can play that position without having to do anything other than play your position. Because there's a lot of what I call puffery on social media, right? Yeah. And now you've seen that it's gotten 12 times worse. And so now you're no longer part of that, because before you were. That's where we clashed in the past. Because for me, I'm a hierarchy guy. You know what I mean? You respect the business and the hierarchy. And there are many people out there that don't, that they think that as soon as they come out with a song, they're right there with the upper echelon of the business, that they don't understand it takes a lot of work to get to that point.
Yeah.
But now that you're set in your position and you keep working your way up, because I see that you're still working. It isn't like you're saying, oh, Apology I Owe You came out. It was an excellent song.
I arrived.
Yeah, I arrived. So now you can sit on your laurels. Now you're working towards, not only becoming the mainstay production company out of Florida, but you're also putting out quality content. So like I said, you have a 3-song streak in my eyes, right? It goes from For All My Life to Apology I Owe You, and now coming soon 100 miles per hour, which I really enjoyed. It's a different type of sound for you. It's like a poppy, but you still stay true to yourself in the song. That's what I liked about it. So for me, it went back to a 90s vibe with a 2021 twist. It does remind you of Planet Rock, but it's not Planet Rock. And the writing and the way the arrangement goes, it gives it a great compliment. So, you know, I really am enjoying 100 miles per hour. It's like the best song I've heard in the last 3 months. And so again, the reason for this interview is not only to promote it and to talk about it, but also to give you your due on what you're doing now.
I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, man. You know, and you know, I've wanted to always put myself in a position where I didn't have to release, you know, 3 or 4 songs in a year. You know, you take your time, you spend whatever time is necessary. If it's 6 months, 7 months, if it's a year, on working on a masterpiece, you know, or your best work, and you put that out, and then you ride it as long as you can, right? And that's really what the formula should be for artists. You know, ride that song as long as you can. You know, release remixes, release a music video,
right?
To do what you can to elongate that streak of that song. So I've been blessed so far to be in a position where, you know, I was able to ride out Apology IOU, you know, for about a year. 100 miles per hour now drops. Hopefully we'll be able to stretch that out for a year. And it gives me time to start working on the next song, right? And get better and better, and kind of, and know that I have to keep upping the game. So if it's not Apology IOU, it's 100 miles per hour. If it's not that, then it's the next level, you know, and I can't come down, because that's only going to ruin my brand. It's going to take away, like you said, I don't want to ruin the streak, right? So
right.
I have some work to do still.
So you know, as an on-air personality and a radio show host, I always say the same thing. If your song is not as good or better than the one you released before, then it's a no from me. I have to pass on it. And that's me actually protecting the artist, something that many artists have not understood in the last 20-something years that I've been on radio. And so we're going to go back in time now and go back to your origins. Were you always in love with freestyle music? And because that's how you entered when I got to hear you for the first time.
Yeah, I think I entered into freestyle music. Well, I was doing freestyle music. Real quick story. My aunt used to work for Sparkle Productions Management, and they were the ones who managed Judy Torres and Suave, Johnny O and Cynthia back then. And I was young. I was in high school. I was 16, 17.
Yes.
And I used to be able to go to their rehearsals. I went backstage to all their shows. I used to get snuck into clubs, you know, so with my family. So, you know, I was involved in freestyle at that level. I fell in love with it then, you know, when I was 16, 17 years old. I didn't start hitting the studio till the 90s, like 92, 91.
Right.
And of course, you know, and that was with Willie Valentine during my stint with On 2. So that was my first kind of introduction. Very young in the game. Didn't know harmony, didn't really know song structure. I just wanted to be famous, right? I just wanted to sing, perform, and people to see me and me able to get that out, right? So I didn't spend a lot of time on understanding the music. I didn't care about what writing was or music production was, or, you know, being on stage and all those things that come with performing. That wasn't what I was about, you know? And so, and that reflected, you know, ultimately reflected in the music, right? So we weren't, On 2 was cool, but we weren't, you know, the George Anthony's of the world, or Julio Menez, or what's that group?
There was something. So there's this one song. There's something on Freestyle Parade Volume Number 4, an artistic.
Yeah.
You know,
that was later, but yeah,
and that was very poppy piano, Edwin Ramos production, which caught the ear of many, because it was a different form of freestyle. And I remember the edits, the edited mix, which is nice. And it was you and Henry Vargas doing this song, and I was just listening to it a few minutes ago. And I thought, man, this was a good song. But then after that, it became hot production time. And then let's put out an album. And you guys went from putting out this beautiful song, There's Something, right, to putting out a whole album when there was actually nothing. You know, like not a lot of good stuff that you could remember. Like I can't tell you another great On 2 song from the album or from anything that you guys did after.
Come on, don't go away. The Johnny O remake. That's your favorite, isn't it?
Wait, we haven't got to Kayvon yet.
Oh man,
that's coming up. But that was to me, you know, it could have been something like all the other groups that came out of New England, some of them had potential, but they all faded away because they had one good song, and then everything else was them trying to get that production from that art, that from that producer that would give them a better deal, or that they didn't have to pay, because back then it was different. I mean, back then studio time was a lot of money. And back then, investing in somebody took a lot of effort, so sometimes people will do that trade-off where, use my voice, put out the song, make whatever you make out of it. I just want to be famous. I just want to get girls. You know what I mean? I want to be on stage. That was the motto back then. Yeah. Was it the correct motto? No, but it's because you're growing up. We were in our 20s back then. Now we're not. So it's just a different reflection or reflecting back. But what is your relationship right now with Henry Vargas, and how did you end up leaving the On2 project, the group?
Yeah, I mean, my relationship is fine. I mean, we talk, we've had some brief conversations about doing some new music together. But, it just haven't panned out, due to schedules and time. But I don't know that it will. Like I said, I'm very careful and protective of my brand. So I just want to make sure that, it's something that makes sense. So you may not get an On2 new single. I don't know.
Well, it's funny because you have a Planet song and he has a Planet song. So I thought that maybe you guys would do a Planet song together.
Yeah, no. No more Planet song.
No more Planet.
I got grilled about that in my writing, so I changed that. And that actually, my Planet song was Jupiter Love, and that was actually an EDM song.
Right.
But yeah, so our relationship is cool. I think we split up not on bad terms. I think we just the timing. I think at that point I was moving away from freestyle. I moved on to kind of pop in my group Strange Ways. And I'm not sure what he did, but I think he was more on the business side, coming off of the production company that he had with Willie and Ray. So I mean, that was cool. I do want to go back and just mention two things. I guess the two good things that I got out of that period of time, the On2 and There's Something and all that kind of stuff. One is it was learning for me. I had a chance to kind of work with Willie in the studio, understand the board, how things work. There were times that he was just tired. He left me and Pose in the studio, and we would just write and record stuff. So, and then the second biggest thing, and it goes back to what I just mentioned about Pose, is that back then we were all a family. There was nothing but love back then. We all did our shows together. Vocal Image, myself, Lorenzo. I mean, we were a family, man. And it was beautiful back then. It was so good. So much love and respect and support for each other. And that's the one thing that I'm grateful that I experienced, and it makes me sad that we don't have that now.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I fight so much, because I remember how good it was when it wasn't a social media thing, when we actually supported each other. And if you got a gig and you got paid for that gig, we congratulated you. We actually showed up to support you. Yeah. And when you won, we all won because you're part of our team. And I don't see that. When we made money, we found a way to help you make money. And it wasn't necessarily you're going to get a royalty check because you were on two, but hey, let's go and call Hot Productions, tell them to send us a bunch of CDs. We pay $5 for them. We pay $5 for them, and then we'll sell them for $15 at the festival, and we make our money that way. Or we'll go to Kinko's and we'll make the posters and sign them, sell them for $5. Or some people give away more than they made, but that's because they wanted that fandom. And people did it the right way. And I don't think anyone regrets how they did things back then. It's just now what bothers me is that they're all rewriting history, and I always try to keep people on Earth, not in Jupiter or Pluto. I like to keep them here because I want them to understand, like, I've been through all the phases and I know what people meant to the genre at that time. So that comes to our conflict, right? So you left for a while, you did the Strange Ways thing, and you came back, and then you thought, I'm here. I used to do this before, right? And I was like, no, man, don't worry about what you did before, because that really wasn't as significant as you think, right? If you were a Hot Productions artist, you weren't really a real freestyle artist. Like, and that's not a knock on anybody else on Hot Productions, but Hot Productions did a lot of bad things to hurt our genre. So it just exploited it, you know. So maybe On 2 was on a compilation, right, with 15 other people, and they were the only good song on there. All 14 other songs were terrible, you know, but they didn't care. So, you know, when you come back after taking a 15-year hiatus, you know, I wanted people to understand, like, you got to start all over again. You got to earn that one by one, and you just can't say, I was here all along, and this is where I belong on the hierarchy, you know. Right. So that's the only thing, you know, that I think we clashed on back in the day. But you came back with I'll Be the One in 2012, and that was a good song. That was solid, from what I can remember. And then you did a duet with, and I shouldn't say duet when it's two men, right? You did a collaboration team, a team up, right, with Gennaro. But one thing that I will say about Gennaro and yourself, and I'll let you speak in a moment because I have all these thoughts in my head that I want to get out, right? And that is that in a group, he was in the group Pain, you were in the group On 2. In the group, there are members of the group, and I always use a pro wrestling term, right? There's a Shawn Michaels, and then there's a Marty Jannetty, right? And you two were seen as the Marty Jannettis, the ones that, you know, were not going to make it as far as your other partners. And now here we are in 2021, and you guys are no longer, you know, in that shadow. You guys have surpassed that. You guys can't be called Marty Jannettis anymore. You guys earned your way to being your own individual artist, and that's all I've ever wanted for Gennaro and yourself. And for you to reach that echelon where you don't have to fight on social media, you know, for people's opinions. Now you earned it because people are listening to what you're putting out.
Yeah. So, yeah. And that's a cool way of putting it. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's a good way of thinking about it.
So you want to talk about Kayvon for about 2 seconds?
I don't know who that is. I don't know what you're talking about. Move on.
So Kayvon was your alter ego, right? That was, but again, back in the day, you know, when Hot Productions was giving out money, right? We will find a way to make that revenue. So you have another song, right? If you have another song, you can continue to say, hey, I'm on this compilation. You can point it out, you know, you could probably sell it to somebody. And so I understand why you did it, but you did this remake of Johnny O's Don't Go Away. In hindsight,
why are we going to talk about this, man?
No, it's always briefly. In hindsight, you know, do you regret that, or is that part of your learning experience?
Willie made me do that.
So it goes back to, I mean,
it's Willie's fault.
There were male artists making pretend they were female artists in songs. You know, they would speed up their voice. There were times when people would find cassettes of demos and they would send it out to Hot Productions so they could get that cheddar. You know,
I got stories, bro. Remember, I used to basically sleep over in Willie's house. Me and Philip Anthony. I got stories. So
yeah.
I'm not the only one. There are a ton of us who were doing alter ego stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was really a Hot Productions thing. It was getting on more compilations. Mm-hmm. Again, you know,
there was Tommy Dick, Alpheus, Paulina. There was some really like, who is that? What is that? You know, Adelphia, and just some really crazy stuff. But then out of those compilations came Olga Rivera and Alicia Masonette, AM. And you're like, man, these are wonderful, you know. So sometimes you got a gem, you know, and
yeah, absolutely. So it was fun, man. It was fun. I mean, as an artist, you didn't get it, you know, to have an opportunity to just record music. You know, back then I had basically a deal with Willie. You know, I didn't really pay for studio time, so we would just be in there just recording songs for the heck of it. So it was fun, man. It was a fun time.
Your Kayvon catalog reads "Don't Go Away," "You'll Need Another," and "Fatal Dreams." What titles we came up with back then, huh?
Yeah, Fatal Dreams is actually my favorite. Out of those three you mentioned, Fatal Dreams is my favorite. That's my one.
I had a song on Willie's compilation that never came out. It's called "Erections of the Heart," and it never came out. So. I don't know why. But again, in the early 2010s, you return with "I'll Be the One" and "In My Heart." Those experiences were good for you, right?
Yeah, they were good. I mean, it was like you said, it was a comeback. You know, coming back to freestyle. I had an opportunity to work with Angel Mena on NSR. It was his first compilation project. So I was on volume 1, 2, and 3, I believe. So that was a great experience. I'm very grateful to Angel for that. helped me get there. I think I was working with Phase Productions. Phase One
Phase
was
One
my producer. Yeah. Again, he's another story, just like Merk One, kind of got him out of what he was doing and get him back into freestyle. Now he's gone again. But yeah, so it was those were, I consider, good records. But like you alluded to, I kind of came back in the game with a chip on my shoulder, right? So it was kind of, look,
I remember.
I never really left. Don't you know who I am?
No, my favorite was when,
myself.
if I could say these things, my favorite was when you challenged a few people to vocal contests. That was like, wow, you know.
It wasn't vocal contest. It was song contest. But
it was like,
yeah, you're right.
Because I'll battle you with a piece of chicken in my mouth. That was one response. I remember that. But you know, and I'm glad that we can have this conversation and laugh about it, because I don't see you. I don't see you that way. You know what I mean? I see you in a different manner. And we've mended our fence over almost a year ago, and you know, I'm glad that we did. And Gino Caparelli was instrumental in that as well, and just having us have conversation. And I have listened to your podcast, the podcast that you have on iTunes and social media, musically speaking. Sometimes I yell at the episode, like, what are you talking about? No way, you know. But I enjoy that. But I guess you know, I appreciate the fact that you're trying to do various things and you know, trying to make things better. You know, not only for yourself, but giving your opinion and trying to have a good conversation. That's one thing that I can say. You know, you have a good conversation. Some people can't carry 2 sentences.
Yeah, true.
Out of the projects that you've done so far, I'll Be the One, In My Heart, The Light, Apology I Owe You, 100 Miles Per Hour. Like, do you have a favorite?
No, I probably don't. I think I fall in love with each one that I do after the next, because I know how much work I put in and what I've changed and how I've grown. So each project I fall in love with. So, you know, I don't think I have any. They're all my favorites.
You came out with an album called Legacy.
Yep.
And you were selling CD copies and you know, it's on digital media. When you put out that album, what is your reaction to the reaction you got for that album?
The intent for the album was really, and that's why I call it Legacy. Again, I think I put it out with a little chip on my shoulder. It was like, you know, hey, these are all the songs that I've done so far. I even went back and re-recorded those favorites you talked about.
Right.
Don't Let Love Die, You Need Another, and Fatal Dreams. Didn't do a great job at that, but I redid those, and I think that was just my way. Honestly, that album was my way of cleansing myself from those songs. Like, this is what I was, this is who I was, this was my legacy. Put that to the side, and now I'm rebuilding brand new. And that's really what that album meant to me.
One thing that I have from that album, if I may, is this note you sent me with your CD. And it takes a man to actually like write their feelings down on a piece of paper. You know, and can I read it if I may?
Yeah, absolutely.
It says, CPR, thanks for your support through the years. This project was somewhat inspired by one of our talks. Thanks, bro. Luis Marte. So which talk was that? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I know.
When you say talk, you mean arguing on social media?
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, I kept this. I kept this because of the fact that these are the things that matter to me. You know, somebody that proved me wrong, and somebody that, you know, I gave a hard time to, because, you know, all I've ever wanted was the best for the artists that I gave a hard time to. It isn't because I sit at home and I'm like, how do I mess with Luis Marte today? You know, it's like, there's something there. I can't continue to tell them that there's something there. All I can tell them is that, you know, you got to keep working at it. And again, like I said, the 3-song streak for me for all my life, Apology I Owe You, which I can play over and over again, and now 100 Miles Per Hour. So I'm glad that you are where you are. And I hope that now, you know, like song choice, and you sit back and you're like, well, I'm earning things little by little, to the point where you're working with top-notch, top-tier talent. Would you like to discuss that?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, one of the biggest joys I get out of what I do now is working with other artists. And, you know, I've had an opportunity now to work with a couple of icons in the business who I look up to, you know, always. And we're talking about, you know, the Carlos Berrioses of the world, Andy Panda, who is an amazing writer. He lives not about an hour from me, and he's been in my studio. We worked together on writing new songs. So I'm excited to have that opportunity. And of course now, working with Actual, K7 and AB. It's no secret that AB Cruz is a very important person in my life. We're more than friends. We're almost. I know we throw around this word brother a lot, but him and I have been through a lot together, and we've been friends for 20 plus years. So of course, when he got reunited with Kay, I've had many conversations, in the back end with AB about it, and with Kay separately. I've always wanted them to get together and kind of, because I know how they felt about each other. So when AB, it was a no-brainer for me when AB came to me and said, hey, would you like to be involved in this project? Hey, hell yeah. So, Kay, the funny thing about Kay is I didn't have a real tight relationship with Kay yet. He basically, for the past month, he's put me through the ringer. So what he's done is he's sent me instrumentals. Say, hey, let me see what you can do with this. Hey, this is instrumental I couldn't write to. Let me see what you can do with this. And so I've been put to the test with Kay. And it looks like, at this point, I've gained his trust, right? So I've written a couple of songs for him. I've written a couple of songs for AB and for Actual. And they seem very happy. So I'm really excited about this new relationship I built with both of them. And I'm super excited to be involved in their new music that's coming out. It's amazing, man. I of course I can't, talk details, but I'm sure you talk to Kay all the time.
Right. So we've been on separate fences here, because you were on AB side of things, and we've had, this is where other part of the heated conversation comes from, right? And then I was on Kay's side of things, and now we don't have to worry about that either, right? Like,
right.
we can live in harmony because they've mended their fences as we have done ourselves. But it brought me back to all the conversations we've had in regards to the TKA moniker and
the group and everything.
Yeah, but Actual is a different beast. It's going to be an excellent project when it comes to the fans' ears. I know a lot of people have been saying coming soon, but these men are actually doing it, and it is coming soon. Now, you have seen a lot of the things that go on social media, and so I see some of your posts. What do you think needs to happen now? Because you were part of it at one time, and now you've seen the error of your ways, and now you're sitting back and it's like, all right, let's get back to work. What do you think has to happen now for everything to settle and we focus on making good quality freestyle content?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, I don't know the answer to that. I mean, all I've learned from it is that, I need to protect my brand. I need to protect what I do. If I get involved in that stuff, then that hurts my ability to work with artists like Actual, right? They're not going to mess with me if I'm involved in mess. So, that's kind of how I've approached it. Do I have opinions? Hell yeah. Do I struggle with wanting to post something because someone says something crazy and maybe I'll post it and delete it real quick? Yeah, I'm human, right? So we all have egos. We all have things that brush us the wrong way. And it's just about remembering the end game, remembering that, what I need, where my future goes, and who I'm going to hurt or who I'm going to alienate if I do something that's crazy, right? So that's really the play. I'm more in a business mindset, brand protection, and I wish that more artists would focus on their music. I did put out a post a couple of days ago saying that the music should always speak for you, always, and I think I'm doing that, right? I think I'm doing that, and I think if artists would kind of follow suit and just shut up, stay away from the lives that make no sense unless you're promoting something,
right? And
just focus on music, and let that be the be the conversation piece.
That's excellent. And you stated that you didn't know, but that's great advice. And I wish for folks to take it because you've been on both ends. You've been an antagonist and a protagonist,
absolutely.
And it didn't work that way. So have I. I've tried to calm myself down too, even though sometimes I just can't help myself.
We're human, bro.
and that's because I love this business, and I've been here, and I hate when people say that, right? I've been here doing this, but I've actually been doing this every week of my life since 1992, right. And I've never stopped doing it, especially in my area. And you know, when I see people coming back or saying stuff that they shouldn't, or like, you know, checking out the wizard, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And giving away the secrets, it bothers me because you know, people are like, oh, freestyle's not a genre. Of course we are a genre. You know how many people listen to freestyle that you don't know about? You know how many young adults are into freestyle that you don't know about? I know about because they're here. You know, I put on family shows where you see the grandmother, the daughter, and then the daughter's children all come as a family to listen to freestyle, and they all know the words, you know? And so there's an opportunity for us to capitalize on that.
Yeah.
And speaking about capitalizing, you're working with Actual, you're working with Merk One. You have this catalog of music that you've put on your legacy album. Are you building a new catalog for a new album?
Yeah, I mean, actually, what I'm doing is I'm working on a pop album actually, with Merk One and a couple of other new producers and my writing team. You know, I started out in freestyle, obviously, right? That's not my number one passion, and that's why I always come back to it.
Right.
But I do my style, kind of what I grew up in is pop music, and it's reflected in my writings, reflected in the songs that I put out. That's kind of where my heart is at, right? So what I'm trying to do is to fuse the two, in a way that hopefully allows us to not only get played on, you know, on freestyle radio shows, but make commercial radio or make pop radio. We can all dream, right? That's really what, you know, my dream is, but it's my passion. So, you know, my next project, after 100 miles per hour, is I'm working on a pop album, a full album, almost Strange Ways type styles, you know, Backstreet Boys in sync, like when I'm talking about big pop like that.
Right.
So I'm working on that. So I'm excited about that. But at the same time, you know, I'm working with a ton of other artists. So I'm working with Antonio Mercado. I'm working with Touch of Quality. Working with Nando, the original. You don't know him yet. Of course, A.B. Cruz's album. And then I have a couple. I'm working on a Christian album, on another pop album from another artist. So I'm kind of all over the place working on.
Keep busy. And so, you know, again, when you stop, when you got your first experience with freestyle before you returned in the early 2000s, you transferred over to pop music and you had success. I mean, you were on Disney tours, and you were on TV. I've seen you on the Disney Channel. I'm like, is that Luis? That's Luis, you know, with the Strange Ways jackets.
Yeah. Yeah, those were good days. Yeah. So, you know, had some relative success. Like you said, we toured with Enrique Iglesias. We were the opening act for 98 Degrees for a little bit on their tour. So I got a taste of it, right? And I was excited about it. It was a big high in my career. But, you know, I'm back to where I love, right? And freestyle music is always going to be my first love. And I'm always going to come back to freestyle music. And I'm going to do my best to give my supporters what, you know, good music, what they deserve. So I will never leave freestyle. I'm going to continue. Hopefully, you know, I want to be a pillar at some point that other young artists can stand on, you know, that if I can leave a legacy or help another young artist develop into this genre, then I'm all down for that. And people like me are looking for opportunities like that for young artists to kind of cultivate and build them up. So you know, we make fun, like, you know, like Rick and Touch, for example, you know, they have a lot of learning to go, right? There's a lot more time, a lot more development, but they have that sparkle in the back of their eye that they're excited about doing this stuff. You know, if I can find more artists like that, you know, with a ton more talent or a ton more, you know, experience, then all the better. You know what I'm saying, for the genre.
So what I will tell the artist as a radio host, a radio show host, is that you'll never have to come to me with your song if it's good. You know what I mean? So if it hits my ear and I'm like, wow, I got to play this, because I will buy it and I will play it. You never have to worry about that. So, you know, if not, for the ones that submit the music to me, and Rick and Touch was one of them, if I don't play you, don't worry. When you come up with that song that is undeniable, just like Luis Marte has done.
You mentioned about Joey, right? Joey just recently did a new single.
Joey?
Joey T?
Joey T, yes. So Joseph Stubb, I've never gotten behind any of his music except the duo song that he did with Ricardo Vasquez. And now for the first time in a long time, I would say in about 15 years, I'm going to actually spin a Joseph Stubbs song. And it could be the fact that he connected with you and, you know, the Merc One and the Luis Marte magic. And but the song sounded very well. The club mix is solid. His vocal sounds good. It sounds like a freestyle song that you would purchase from Metropolitan. You know what I mean? Like back then. So, you know, congratulations to him. And I want to see more of that, you know, and Rican Touch, I see that they have a lot of passion. They have concepts that they want to explore. I saw they explored loss on their last song, and they dedicated to the people that they've lost, and they want people to dedicate it to who they lost. So that's great concepts, and, you know, they just got to keep building on that.
Yeah, for sure.
So right now what we're going to do is we're going to debut your song, 100 Miles Per Hour, the club mix, track number 6. But when is the song being released?
It's being released, I think today, depending on when this airs. I believe it's going to be today, and the 30th, and it'll be available on all digital media, as well as on my website. You can order CDs and vinyl as well. And I think the track you're going to play is number 6. That's the Freestyle on I-4 remix, right? Is that the freestyle version?
Yes. What does the Freestyle on I-4 mean?
I-4 is the main interstate that runs through Central Florida. So from Jacksonville, not from Jacksonville, from Daytona all the way to Tampa, and that's where I live. So we wanted to give ode to where, you know, where we come from. So that's why it's named that. And the exciting thing about this track is that it was originally produced by myself, but then Merc One remixed it, and then we took it to Dr. Javi, who is a beast. Yes. Who just took it to a whole nother level. So he did additional remixes. He did the mixing on the vocals. So I'm indebted to Dr. Javi for making this record the way it came out. So I'm really excited about it. And keeping in mind that 100 Miles Per Hour originally was an acoustic record, just recorded to a guitar. Wow. And then we ended up doing a bunch of remixes. And this remix that you're about to hear was actually the last version we did. Probably 2 weeks ago, we finished it. So super excited about it. Came out great. So right now on CPR's Clubhouse Live, we present Luis Marte, 100 Miles Per Hour.
Straight to you, not knowing your pain was inconsolable. The sorries, apologies, and love can be so cruel. Just when I think I'm winning, I'ma lose. But if I could try to make you feel the way I do, you know it's real. And I could turn the hands of time and bring you peace and soothe your mind. We're running out of options. Will you steal your heart away? And if I could tell you something that'll make you wanna stay. I'm running to you. I'm running, don't wanna lose you. I'm running to you. I'm running, don't wanna lose you. I hate when we fight and when they say it's part of love. But I hate it more to see the tragedy of what was us. What is love without us? Would it be love? But if I could try to make you feel the way I do, you you call, I'll be right here. And in these arms, take away your fear. And if we find it hard to overcome, just know that you will always be the one. And if you call, I'll be right here. And in these arms, take away your fears. And if we find it hard to overcome, just know that you will always be the one. 'Cause we're running out of options. Running out of options, baby. Your heart away. Steal your heart away. If I could tell you something, I can tell you something you wanna say. I'm running to you. Running, I'm running, don't wanna lose you. Running, I'm running to you. Running, I'm running, don't wanna lose you. I'm running, 100 miles an hour. Running, I'm running, 100 miles an hour. Running.
It's CPR's Clubhouse Live, and we're with Luis Marte. It's his brand new song, 100 Miles Per Hour. And great debut. We're going to bring Luis Marte back with us right here on CPR's Clubhouse Live. And that's a great song. That's a solid song right there. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I always do this when I bring a guest back. I don't unmute them.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We appreciate it.
So again, we're going to have the link in the description of the podcast and also the YouTube video, so you can just link to it and just get to the place you need to go to download the song or stream it or purchase it. We'll also have a link to the purchase of the vinyl and the CD copies. That's always good. I love physical media.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of collectors out there, especially in freestyle, who like to collect the physical media.
Yep. Yeah. And if I didn't do vinyl, I would have had a lot of angry people knocking on my door.
Yeah. You know, I was having this debate a few times this week in regards to why do you have to own it, right? And what people don't understand is when you stream something or you download something, you really don't own it. You know, it's not in your hand. You know, if you stream it, you can lose that stream if you don't download it. You know, a lot of freestyle people have noticed that last year there was at least 3 artists that demanded that their music be pulled from streaming services. So people purchased the song, they never downloaded it, they got rid of it, they could never get it back. And so that's the reason why I like physical media.
Yeah, me too.
Well, Luis Marte, do you have any special thanks that you would like to give anyone? You can go back to 1990s, or you can go as far as 2012, or just recent. But who do you thank?
Well, I'll start with thanking you for the invite, for the opportunity. You and I have come a very long way.
Yes,
thankfully.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have many years of history. And just going back, I guess there's one person I want to thank, and it's Willie Valentine for really introducing me to the game, opening up his door, and allowing me to grow. So big shout out to Willie Valentine for the start. Of course, I want to just thank my team. You know, Merk1, his wife, his talented wife, Marilyn Torres, Dr. Javi for participating on this record. And, you know, a big shout out to all my counterparts, those people who are, you know, trying to up the game, up the level of our genre and trying to make quality music. You know, big salute to you guys. You know who you are. And, you know, thank my wife for putting up with me, allowing me to take over a room in the house for the studio and have people come up to record. So that takes a lot of patience, and I'm grateful to her for that. And of course, to all my supporters. I don't call them fans. They're really supporters, my backbone, those who fight for me, who promote, who share my post, and who are very supportive of everything that we've been doing. I'm very grateful that I found a partner like DJ Merkone. I'm grateful that we are building our position. Yes, we do want to be the premier go-to place in Florida for music production for freestyle. And we're just trying to qualify that with every release that we do. So that's really what we're doing. So hopefully you find it beneficial for you to come our way, or just give me a shout. You know, if you want to get anything related to my music, CDs, digital, know more about me, luismartemusic.com. You can get everything there. So again, CPR, I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, there's one thing that you haven't done yet, and that's come to New England to perform, and I can't wait to give you that opportunity. I know that you wanted that opportunity, but there's only one caveat. You got to bring Marilyn Torres and DJ Merkone with you.
You got it. Done deal.
All right. Once again, that's Luis Marte right here on CPR's Clubhouse Live. Thank you so much. Good luck with 100 miles per hour. Check out the links below so you can purchase your copy. Talk to you soon, Luis.
Peace.
Once again, that's Luis Marte. The song 100 miles per hour will be available as soon as you see this video. So check out the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, CPR's Clubhouse, and also CPR's Clubhouse at your favorite podcast sites like Apple Podcasts. We're also on Amazon Podcasts, Amazon Music. There are links at cprsmusic.com, so make sure you go there as well. Until next time, it's CPR saying goodbye. And remember, it's not who you love, it's how. Talk to you soon.